Hello friends, in this video I will try to explain each and every function that is available with our Excel Tailor ribbon and formulas that are available with our Excel Tailor ribbon tool. But before I start, let me tell you one thing, that the Office version that I am using right now is Office 365 version. Now with that, let's start with our first function, that is add and delete sheets. So if I click on add and delete sheets, you can see there are two sub functions inside it. One is add sheet, one is delete sheets. So you must have understand by the name that what exactly these function does. So let's start with the add sheet first. Suppose I want to create empty sheets with these names. So what I will do, I will click on add sheets, select the add sheet function, and it is asking me select range for worksheet creation. So I will select this range and I will click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see empty sheets are created in this workbook. Now if I have data like this, something like that, right, it will still go ahead and create empty worksheet with these names as well, right? So let us check that. So I'm again going on add sheet, I'm selecting this thing and I click on OK. So you can see empty sheets are created in this workbook with new names. Now if I want to delete these sheets, right, August, September, October, what I need to do, I will click on delete sheet, I will select the range and I click on OK. So you can see October, September, October and November are no longer existing, or whatever the sheets I have deleted are no longer existing, right? Similarly, if you want to see if these sheets can be deleted as well, again what you need to do, go to delete sheet, select sheet, click on OK, and now you can see even June, July are no longer existing. So this is add and delete sheet function. Now we'll go to sheet index. So if I click on sheet index, what it will do, it will just create an index of sheet with hyperlink. So if I click on May, it will take you inside this May worksheet, right? Again if I click on February, it will take you inside February. So this is what sheet index normally does. However, if I delete one of the sheets like this, I again go to sheet index, right, and I click on sheet index once more, so it will refresh the data. So you can see right now May is no longer existing, and that is why it is not shown over here. So this is sheet index for you. Now another function that I am going to show you right now is go to sheet. So go to sheet is nothing, it is just help you to navigate different sheet. For example, if I click on go to sheet and I select a sheet, it will directly take you to that sheet, right? I want to go back to sheet index, I will click on go to sheet and click on sheet index, and it will take me back to the sheet index. So this function is very much similar to what is available with our Excel 365 version, right? If you do a right click over here, it will show you all the worksheet that is available in your workbook, right? So it works exactly same way, right? Now we'll discuss our next function, which is create folder oblique workbook. Now this function help us create empty folder in a particular directory or create empty workbook in a particular directory. Now to create an empty folder or an empty workbook, first of all we need to go and click on this particular icon which says create folder oblique workbook. Now if you want to create empty folders, I will select create folders, right, and it will ask you the location where you want to create those folders. So let me select my location where I want to create my folder. So I have selected my location and I click on OK. The next step is, it is asking us select range for folder creation, right? If I want to create a particular folder or workbook with a particular name, then by what name it should create the folders or workbook. So right now I am selecting these names only: January, February, March, April. I mean, you can select it from here, or you can manually write it and then select it. I mean, it's completely okay, and you click on OK. So once you click on OK, we can see these empty folders are created. Similarly, if you want to create empty workbook, you can do it in the same way. The only thing, you need to select the add workbook function from here, right? Again, I have to select the location, right? I click on OK, and now it is asking us select range for workbook creation. So I will select this range, January, February, March and April, and I will click on OK, right? So as I click on, my empty workbook with these names are getting created in this particular directory, and you can see all these workbook are now created, right? Okay, now let's move on to our next function, which is import workbook. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me delete these 4 sheets as of now. So what I will do, I will go to add delete sheets, select delete sheets, and I will just delete all these 4 sheets, right? Now I do not have any sheet left, right, with any of the month name. However, I want to import these sheets like January, February, March and April in this particular workbook. So I will use the function which says import workbook. Now this import workbook function normally import workbooks from a particular directory into your current workbook, right? So we'll see this. So I will click on import workbook, right, and I will select my folder where my workbook are located. So I will select this, right, and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see April, February, January and March, though they are not in proper order, but these 4 workbook are imported back from this particular location. Okay, so this is import workbook functionality. The next function we are going to see right now is export sheets, right? So let's do one thing. Let me delete these workbook from here, okay, for a moment, and now I want to export these workbook back to that particular directory. So what I need to do, I will go to sheet index, I will click on sheet index, right? So my sheet index is updated now, right? And what I need to do, I will click on export sheets. So it is asking me in which directory I want to export these sheets as separate workbook. So I will select it, right, the same directory. I'll click on OK, right? Now it is asking me which workbook I want to, which worksheets I want to export as workbook. So I will select these 3, right? Just exclude March as of now. April, February and January I want to export as separate workbook, and I click on OK, right? So as I click on OK, you can see these 3 sheets are exported back into that particular directory. Okay, now we have discussed sheet index, we have discussed create folder or empty workbook, we have discussed add delete sheets, we have also seen how we can import workbook to separate sheets and how we can export separate workbook as worksheet in a particular workbook, right? Now the next function that we are going to see right now is rename. So if you go here, there is rename sheets and there is rename file. So we'll discuss each of these function one by one. Suppose you can see, right, we have April, February, January and March, right? We have these 4 names, right, for different month. Now I want to rename these months, right? For example, for April I want to keep it as only the first 3 letters I want to keep, right? So what I will do, I will put a left function like this, and equal to left 3 like this, okay, and let's paste it as values. Okay, now I want to rename each of these sheets to these names. So what I will do, I will click on the rename function, click on rename sheets, right? It is asking me select current names, so I will select my current names like this. I click on OK, and select to be names, right? So my to be names will be like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see my sheets are renamed. That means April is renamed to APR and February is renamed to FEB and so on. So this is how you can use this function, which can rename multiple sheets quickly, right? Now we will see how we can rename our files. But before I show you this rename files function, right, I want to show you some other function, right, which will be helpful for us to rename different file in a particular location. Okay, so the function that I am going to show you right now is get location function. Now what this get location function does, it extracts the location detail from a particular file or from a particular folder, right? For example, I want to get a folder location, right? So I will click on this, right, and it is asking me to select a directory. So I will select this directory like this, and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see the location is retrieved like this. Now it's a hyperlink location, so if I click on it, it will take me directly inside that particular directory. Okay, so this is what get location function, right, and this is folder location function what we have seen just now. Similarly, we have a file location, right? So I click on file location, and this will give you access to create a hyperlink location of a file. Okay, so let me again select a particular file this time. So I will select this file February. Okay, and I click on this. Now if I click on this, it will take me directly inside that particular file, right? So this is how you can create, or you can extract the location detail from a particular folder or from a particular file, right? And the next function that I'm going to show you right now is sheet name, right? Suppose we have these four sheets, and I want to retrieve name of each of these sheets in a particular cell. For example, this F4 cell, right? So what I need to do, I will select all of these sheets. I click on get location, and I will click on sheet name function. It is asking me select cell where you want to retrieve sheet name. So my cell is already selected, but just in case you want to select some other cell, you can select it from here as well, right? So I am keeping it F4 only as of now, and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see the sheet name for each of these sheets is updated in the F4 cell. Okay, now let me delete this. I don't think that we need this thing anymore. Now let us go back to this rename file function. So as you can see, we have the location over here. The next thing what I need to have, I need to get the file names, right? So you can see my files names are January, February and April. Okay, so sorry, we do not have March over here, so I will copy this, right? You can manually write all the file names as well if you want to, but in the later section of our video we'll see how we can extract the file names from a particular folder as well, right? So we do have some functions and formulas available in this tool which can directly retrieve the file names from a particular folder. Okay, so coming back to this, as you can see we have these file names January, February and April, right? And I want to give it some number like 01 Jan, right, 02 Feb and 03 April. Okay, and I want to rename these files. So now we also have to give the extension of these files. Okay, for example, I mean in this case we'll put it as dot xlsx, right? Similarly here as well, and here as well, right? And over here too. Okay, so let me do it quickly. Now we can rename these files. So to rename these files, I will go to rename and I will click on rename file. It is asking me select folder where the files are located. So I will select my folder like this and I click on OK. Select current names. So I will select my current names like OK, right? So before we rename it, let me show you once more that the file names are like January, February and April, right? And now it is asking me select 2B names. So my 2B name will be like this 01, 02 and 03 April, and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can go back to this folder and you can see the files are renamed now. Okay, so this is how you can rename your multiple files. Okay, now the next function that I am going to show you right now is arrange sheets, right? Okay, so before I go for it, let me refresh my sheet index. So let me re-click on it and you can see my sheet index is refreshed now. Okay, now we'll see what is arrange sheets. So arrange sheets basically reorder your sheets in a particular order of your choice. For example, you can see my first sheet is April followed by February, January and March, right? I want Jan to appear first like this. Okay, like this, and followed by February, March and April. Now to rearrange the sheets, right, in this particular order, from this particular order, if I don't want to do it manually, I will click on arrange sheets. It is asking me select sheet names in order of arrangement. So I will select my new sheet arrangement like this and I click on OK. So as you can see, as soon as I click on OK, my sheets are reordered like Jan, Feb, March, April and then followed by this particular which is sheet 1. One thing you have to make one thing you have to keep in mind that there should not be any hidden files, right, in this particular workbook. So if you are using this arrange sheets, make sure that you are unhiding all the existing sheets and then rearranging them. Otherwise you will get you will not get the desired result. The next function that I am going to show you right now is the highlighter function. So this function normally highlight your active cell, row and column. So let's see this with an example. As you can see, I have a data in table format over here. Now if I want to select this cell and highlight its current column and current row like this, I will use the function highlighter. Okay, so to do that, I will first select a cell and then I will click on the highlighter function and it will select the current column of that selected cell and current row of that selected cell. And not only that, it will also give you the first cell in this particular column and first cell in this particular row. So if you can look over here, it has given us COL2 and APR. So COL2 is the first cell in this column and APR is the first cell in this particular row, right? Now it can be very helpful. For example, you don't know what the heading of this particular cell, right? So you can click on the highlighter function and it will give you right this COL1 is the heading of this column. However, the row that we have selected doesn't have any first cell which has any data inside it. That is why it is not giving us any value like this. So the heading is COL1. So if we go back, we can see this is COL1, right? So this is how you can use the highlighter function. The next function that I am going to discuss right now is the last row. Okay, so last row function, it select rows till your last active rows, right? For example, I'm selecting this, right? I'm selecting this cell and I want to, when I click on last row, I want to select everything in this particular column, right? This whole column should get selected wherever there is a value inside it. Okay, so when I click on this, I click on last row, it is asking me select heading to exclude header rows, else press cancel. So if I want to exclude heading, right, I will select the heading, otherwise I will press cancel. So let me press cancel and you can see it has selected everything, right? Now I again click on last row. Now we'll see select heading to exclude header row. This time we are going to select an heading like this, and I click on OK, right? And you can see excluding this heading, it has selected everything, right? Now, for example, if my heading is this, right, 222, what I will do, I will select this and I will click on OK. So other than 222, everything else is getting selected, and it work on multiple columns as well. For example, if I select like this and I click on last row, it said select heading to exclude header row. So I will select this and I click on OK, and you can see everything else is selected. So it works on multiple columns as well. However, if we have any data over here, right, like this, okay, and I click over here and I click on last row, right, and I click on OK. So it will consider last row of this active sheet, right? So the last row will always be the last row of the sheet and not of a particular column, right? Similarly, if I select it over here and I click on last row, right, say it is asking me select heading to exclude header row. So I will press cancel because I do not have any header row over here. So I will press cancel, and you can see it has considered that this is the first row, right, which has value inside it, okay, because these are some of the values, and this is the last row of this active sheet. So this is a very helpful function which we will see in our later Excel challenges, how we are utilizing this function to solve a lot of other complex Excel problems. Now we are almost done with all of the functions in our workbook and worksheets division, right? The only function that we have not yet discussed is the restore data, right? So it basically undo the last macro action, but it doesn't work with every function, it works with some function. So we will see it later. So I am keeping it as it is as of now. So we will discuss this function in our later part of this video, right? Now we'll discuss, let me delete this data. Now we'll see some of the function which are available in our data functions, like insert date. So insert date, as you can see, is normally, it insert a date. When you click on this, it will give you a date picker, and you can select any date you want to, right, like this, and you can navigate your month like this, right, like this, right, and you can select any date and it will give you the date from here. And not only that, once you click on insert date, the next thing what you will notice that even a right click menu, it will be shown in right click menu as well, right? It will get activated in right click menu as well, right? So you can also select the date from the right click, okay? So this is the insert date function, okay? Now let's see what this function fill down means, right? For example, I have some data like this, right? Let me delete some of the data from here, okay, like this. Now these are some of the cells which are blank, right, like this, 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 and this. However, I want to fill down these cells, the value of these cells to these empty cells. For example, I want to copy the value to these empty cells, I want to copy this value to these empty cells, this value to these empty cells, and this to these empty cells, right? So what I will do, I will just select my data and click on the fill down function. So as soon as I click on fill down function, you can see it has inserted the value of the cell which is above it to the empty bottom cells. So this is fill down function for you. So the next function that I am going to show you right now is the trim data function. Now it trim extra spaces from selected cells. I don't think that I need to explain anything in this regard, right? But let me show you one thing. For example, I have some data over here, right? And let me put some extra spaces like this, okay? And over here like this, right? So one more cell like this, right? Now I want to remove extra spaces from all these 3 cells. So what I will do, I will just select these cells and I click on trim data. So as soon as I click on trim data, you can see, right, the extra spaces are removed. That's why what trim data function normally does, right? Now coming to our next function, okay, it is the calendar function. So calendar function, it insert a calendar, right, in your current workbook, right? So I mean, if you want to insert a calendar, what you need to do, just select any cell like this and click on calendar. Now it is asking you select cell for calendar insert. So we have already selected our cell and I click on OK, and it is asking you the month, right, for which you need the calendar. So by default it will always pick the current month, but in case you want to change it, you can change it as well. I'm not changing it as of now. I'm clicking on OK, and the next thing it ask you is the year. Again, by default it will always show the current year, but you can change this as well, and you click on OK. So once you click on OK, you can see a calendar for July 23 is inserted in this workbook, right? So this is the calendar function. Now we'll move on to our next function, which is the drop down function. Now drop down function has 1 2 3 4 functions inside it. So we'll see each of these function one by one. Okay. So let me first see the first function, which says create drop down from range. Now I want to create a drop down based on this data: Jan, Feb, March, April, May and June. So what I will do, I will just click on the drop down function, and it is asking me select range for drop down. So I will select my range like this and I click on OK, and it is asking me select destination cell where I need my drop down. So I will select it like this and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see a drop down is quickly inserted over here, right? So let me delete it. What happens if your data is in this format, something like this, right? So it can create drop down from a matrix as well. What I need to do, click on drop down, click create drop down from range, select range for drop down. So I will select it like this and I click on OK and select destination cell like this, right? And you can see, right, it has created the drop down from a table as well. So let me remove this, as well. Okay, so this is the first function which says how you can create drop down from range. The next is create drop down from an array formula. Okay, now suppose I have a formula like this, which is only available with our Excel 365 version, right? Because it creates a dynamic array formula like this, right? So what I need to do, I want to create a drop down from this array formula which can update on its own, right? If I enter any value over here and I change the formula, right, my drop down will automatically get updated. Okay, so what I need to do, I will click on drop down and it says create drop down from array formula. I will click on this. It is asking me select destination cell where I need my drop down. So I will select it like this and I click on OK. So as you see, nothing is created over here because I missed an important step. So what you need to do when you want to create a drop down from array formula, first of all you have to select the first cell of this array formula, just like this, right? And you click on drop down and you click on create drop down from array formula. So once you click on this, it is asking you select destination cell. Now you can select your destination cell and click on OK. So as you click on OK, you can see a drop down is created like this. Now for example, I put July over here, something like this, right? Sorry, like this, right? And I update this formula like this, right? So you can see even my drop down is getting updated on its own. So here you can create a drop down based on a array formula. Now the next thing what we are going to show you right now is how you can eliminate or prevent a duplicate entry in a range, right? Now let's take the same example. we have the name of months over here, but I want to prevent any duplicate entries, right? For example, I'm taking this much of range, that is from C4 to C15, and I do not want anyone to insert a duplicate entry of a particular month. So what I will do, I will select this full range. I will go to drop down and click on eliminate duplicate entry in range, right? And I click on like this. So it is asking me select range. Okay, my range is already selected, and I click on OK, right? Now if I want to insert any duplicate of these month, right, it will not allow me to insert that. For example, I want to put Jan, and here you go, it says the value already exists in list, please enter a unique value. Okay, right? Similarly, if I want to put September, again I will get it like this. Okay, so this is how you can prevent duplicate entries in a particular range. But if I want to put October over here, it is allowing me to do that. Now the next question is how to remove this validation. So to remove this validation, what you need to do, select any cell which has this particular validation like this, right? And you go to drop down and you click on delete data validation like this, right? And your data validation is removed now. Now you can insert duplicate values, right? And you do not have any problem like that. So now we have 3 functions left to discuss which are available inside data functions, right? One is the copy formula function, the other one is the AutoSum function, and the third one is the add text function, right? So we will discuss each of these functions one by one, but first I will discuss the AutoSum function. So AutoSum function help you get AutoSum at top, right? For example, I want to get the sum of all these numbers, right? But not at the bottom, but over here, right? So what I will do, I will first select this data like this and click on AutoSum. So as soon as I click on AutoSum, you can see I got sum of all of these numbers, right, at the top of the column, right? So this is the AutoSum function. Now this is the add text function. Okay, it is quite simple to understand what exactly this does, right? It normally add text either at the beginning of a particular text, or at the end of a particular text, or at both sides of the text. For example, right over here, I want to add month, right? So what I will do, I will put month and I will put a underscore, and I will, because I want to suffix this thing, I will press this, and you can see month and underscore is suffixed to each of these text, right? Similarly, you can prefix something and you can also add the same text at both sides of an existing text. For example, I want to put asterisk, right, in both sides of the text. So what I will do, I have just selected this data and I will press on this particular icon, and you can see asterisk is added both at the beginning of the text as well at the end of the text, right? And now we'll move on to our next function, which is copy formulas. But let me delete all this data first. Okay, so let me delete everything whatever is available with me now, right? I'm deleting these as well. Okay, and let me delete this as well. Okay, let's keep the month as it is. Now what exactly the copy formula function is? So this function copy your formulas as values, right? So it helps you when your data is in filtered format. Okay, for example, let me put a formula over here, right? So what I am going to do, let me select everything and put a sum in this column. So if I double click on it, you can see there is a formula entered over here. Now if I filter this data, right? So let me filter this data, like I want to select this, this and this, right? And I click on OK. Now I want to copy and paste this data as values, right? You can see, I mean, these are formulas. So what I will do, I will just do a Control C and will try to paste it as values, but Excel doesn't allow me to paste this, right? So what I will do, I will go to copy formula and click on copy formula as values in filtered cells. So I will click over here, right? And it is asking me select the range. So what I will do, I will select this range and I will select an additional range, right? Like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see these are no longer formulas, but these are converted to values, right? Now let me unfilter this data, and over here you can see whatever was inside that filter, right? These cells are still showing the formula, however these are not, right? So this is how you can use this copy formula function, right, to copy formulas as values in filtered cell. Now what is in all cells, right? So let me put this formula once more, right? Now my every cell has this formula, right? Now let me again filter it. Okay, so far in our last function we have seen that it has only copy and paste those formulas as values which are visible over here. Now I want to copy and paste all formulas, right, which is inside this filter and which is not at all visible as well. Okay, so what I will do, I will click on copy formulas as values and I will select in all cells, right? As soon as I click on in all cells, you can see, okay, my bad, let me redo it once more. Okay, I have to select this data, sorry. Okay, so what I need to do, I will select this data like this, right? An additional cell I have to select, and I have to select the heading like this. Okay, now I will go to copy formula and I will do a copy formula as values in all cells. So as soon as I click on this function, you can see everything is copied as values, and it's not just the visible cell what was happening in our previous function where we have used copy formulas as values in filtered cell, right? So now you understand, when you want to copy formulas as values in filtered cell, it will only copy formulas as values for cells which are visible. However, in all cells it will copy everything which is visible as well as which is not visible as values. Okay, so this is the first function, copy formulas and values. Now we'll move to our next function, that is copy array formulas and values. Okay, now suppose I create an array formula. I mean, if you know, I mean, it is available in Microsoft 365 version that we can create arrays like this. Okay, now this is an array formula. Okay, because if you go over here, you will see this is grayed out, right? And you cannot delete these because these are a part of array. If you want to delete it, you have to delete the cell where the formula is entered. Okay, now just in case you want to copy this array formulas as values, right? You want to copy everything as values. What you need to do, just select this, the first cell where you have the data, right? And you click on copy formula and click on copy formulas and values, and over here you have to select copy array formulas as values from selection, because this is something you have selected, right? You have selected the first cell of this array formula, and now you are clicking on this function. So you can see, as soon as you click on this, this is no longer a formula, however this is copy and pasted as values, right? Now the next function is copy formulas as values in entire sheet. Suppose we have multiple formulas, multiple array formulas, right? Let me delete this and let me show you this, right? For example, I have an array formula here, right? I have an array formula here, and I have an array formula. Let me select this one here as well. Now I want to copy all the array formulas as values, right? I don't want to do it manually one by one. So what I will do, I will go to copy formula as values, and I will select this copy all array formulas as values in entire sheet. So as soon as I click on it, you can see each of the array formulas is detected and it has been copied as values. So hope you have understand it, right? Now let's move on to our next function, that is copy conditional format as normal format. Okay, I mean it is very simple. I mean the name is itself is quite explanatory that what I am going to show you over here. For example, just look at this data and I want to put a conditional formatting over here, right? So let me put something like this. Okay, so now this is a conditional formatting, right? Now what will happen, if I want to copy this and paste it as values over here, right? It is fine, okay, it's okay. But if I change this number to something else, right, the formatting gets deleted, right? So how will I copy this conditional format as a static format, right? So what I need to do, I will go to my Excel Tailor tool and click on copy conditional format as normal format. But before that, I will select this data and I click on this. So as soon as I click on this, you can see the conditional format is static now, right? It is not dynamic. Okay, so if I change something, like if I change it like this, okay, the format is not getting changed, it is static now, it is fixed now, right? So this is how we can use the copy formula function, and with this we have come to an end to our data functions. Now I will show you another function, that is restore data, right? Something that I haven't shown you before. So what exactly is restore data is, right? It basically undo your last macro action. For example, I mean you all know, I mean that each of these functions are created in VBA, right? And we do not have any capability to undo a function through our Excel functionalities, which can undo a VBA procedure. For example, if I select this data like this and I use this function like fill down, right, like this. So if I try to undo this, I will not be able to undo this. You can see the undo is grayed out, right? However, if I click on restore data, right, it will restore it to its original form, right, before executing any of these function. However, restore data doesn't work with every function, and it is only undo the last macro action, right? So this is restore data for you, and now we will move on to our next part of our Excel Tailor functions, that is how we can use these functions, which are filters and functions, right? So now we will move on to our next function, that is dynamic filter. Dynamic filter on current sheets, and we have dynamic filter on multiple sheets with same criteria as well as with different criteria. So we will discuss each of these functions one by one, right? But to explain this function, let me unhide some of the sheets. Okay, like this. Now you can see, I mean in my data over here, we have some person name, states, abbreviation and capital mentioned in this table. Now I want to filter this data based on the person name whose name is starting with the alphabet J. So what I will do, I will put a J over here, right? And I will put the heading name, that heading name is person name and my criteria is J, right? Now I will put a dynamic filter on current sheet. So it is asking me select data range. So I will select my data range like this, okay, and I will select the criteria like this and I click on OK. So you can see everything, right? Every person name whose name is starting with letter J is displayed over here, right? Now let me put another filter like this. Let me copy and paste it over here. Now I want all person name whose name is starting with J and where the state is Alaska. So we have only one person. So let us see whether we are able to get this data or not. So what I will do, I will click on dynamic filter and click on current sheet, and we'll select our data range like this, and I will select my criteria like this, and you can see the one the one row where we have person named Jason and state Alaska is displayed over here, right? So this is for AND condition and this is for OR condition. For example, now all I want, let me copy this as well, right, and put this over here. Now this means that give me person name whose name is starting from J and whose state is Alaska, or give me person name whose name is starting from J and the state is Alabama. So this is an AND as well as OR condition, right? So we'll filter it. So I'll click on dynamic filter, current sheet. I will select my data range like this, click on OK, and I will select my criteria range like this and click on OK. Now you can see we have received two rows where the person name is starting from J, right, and the state is either Alabama or Alaska. So this is how you can use the dynamic filter. So this is dynamic filter for current sheets. Now we'll see dynamic filter for multiple sheets with same criteria. So again we will take the same data, right, and we have 3 files with similar data, right? Now I want to filter all these 3 sheets, right, with the same filter where the person name is starting from alphabet J. So in each of these 3 sheets I will going to apply the same filter. Now to do that, what I need to do, first of all I will click on sheet index to get an index of my sheets, right? Then I will go to data and I will click on dynamic filter for multiple sheets with same criteria. Now it is asking me select worksheets, right? So I will select my worksheet like this, data 2 and data 3. I will click on OK. It is asking me select source header data. So I will select the header data like this. So one thing you have to make sure that the header data should be in the same ranges in each of these sheets. That means that if it is starting from G2 and going till J2, it should be same in each of these sheets, and I will click on OK. The next thing is it is asking me select filter criteria range. So I will again go to my data and I will select the criteria like this and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see in each of these sheets, right, data 2 and data 3, the data is filtered, right, where all person name is starting from J. Okay, so this is how you can use dynamic filter on multiple sheets with same criteria. Now if you want to remove the filter for each of these sheets, right, what you need to do, you can see there is a function called show data and we have multiple sheet option over here. So I'll click on multiple sheet and it is asking me select sheet names, right? So I will go to sheet index and I will select all these 3 sheet names and I will click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, my filters are removed from each of these sheets, right? So this is how you can use the dynamic filter function. Now we'll see how we can apply dynamic filter on multiple sheets with different criteria. Okay, so let's take the same example. We have person named J over here. However, this is hidden. Let me unhide it and let me unhide this as well. Okay, now I want to filter the same data, but this time my criteria will be different, right? So my criteria is in this sheet I want all person name with J alphabet, starting from J alphabet. In this sheet I want all person names starting from S alphabet, right? And in this particular sheet I want all person names starting from T alphabet should be visible. Now to do that, what I need to do, I will go to dynamic filter, I will go to multiple sheets with different criterias. Okay, and it is asking me select worksheet. So I'll go to my worksheet, sheet index. I will select these 3 sheets select source header data, right? Again, the header data, I have to select the header data, and you have to make sure that the header data is common in all the three sheets, right? And I click on OK. Select filter criteria range, right? Now I will select my filter criteria, and again you have to make sure that the filter criteria, right, the range of this filter criteria should be same in each of these sheet. That means if it is starting from O1 and going till O2, it should be the same in each of these sheets, right? That is how it can capture the criteria properly, and we have to click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see in this particular sheet everything is filtered with the alphabet J. In this particular sheet everything is filtered with person named Sean, and in this particular worksheet everything is filtered with the letter T, right? Now again, I mean, if you want to unfilter this data for this sheet only, what you need to do, you just need to go to show data and click on current sheet, and your data is unfiltered. However, if you want to do it for multiple sheets, for example, I want to do it for this sheet as well as for data 2 as well, what I need to do, I will select show data, click on multiple sheet, and we'll go to sheet index, and I will select these sheets for which I want to unfilter the data, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, my filter is removed, right? So in our future videos we will see how we can put multiple conditions, right? What are the different type of criteria to filter your data in a more efficient and effective way, right? So we'll see that in our later videos. Now let's move on to our next function, which is headed data. So we have headed data with all values, we have headed data with unique values, and get data based on heading and criteria for all values and unique values as well. So we'll discuss each of these function one by one. So we'll see our first function, that is headed data all values, right? Suppose, let me open a new sheet like this. Let me expand it a little bit, right? Suppose I have to copy person name and abbreviation, right, in this particular format, right? Okay, sorry, let me copy and paste it over here like this, okay, over here, right? And then I need capital, possibly over here, right? And that's it. So I want to copy these columns, right, in this particular sheet, right? This is a new Excel sheet. So to do that manually, it will take some time. Imagine if you have a lot of columns, around 100 columns, so it will take a lot of time for you to do it, right? And even if the column are not uniform every time, so you have to, I mean, there are chances of error as well. So we'll see how header data helps us. So we'll click on header data and click on header data all values, right, over here. So it is asking me select source range. So I will select my source range like this, click on OK, and it is asking me select destination range. So I will select my destination range like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see all data is copied to a different location based on the name of their header, right? So this is how you can use the function headed data all values. Now why all values? Because it has extract all values from this particular table. However, if you want only unique values, I mean you don't want any duplicates, then in that case you will use the function headed data with unique values. Now the next thing we'll see, get data based on heading and criteria, right? This is again for all values and for unique values, right? This time we are going to copy and paste the data based on a particular criteria. Okay, now my criteria will be this time, my criteria this time will be person name J. Okay, let me put it like this. I want the data for all those person whose name is starting from J, right? I want the details over here. Okay, so what I need to do, I will again click on headed data, get data based on heading and criteria and all values. Okay, now it is asking me select destination range. This time I have to select the destination range first. So I will select my destination range like this because I want my data over here, and I click on OK, and it is asking me select source range. So my source range is this, right? I click on OK. Now it is asking me select criteria. So I can select my criteria from here, and I click on OK. So you can see for all the person name whose name is starting from J, right, the data is copied in this particular sheet. So you do not need to do anything manually over here, right? You do not need to filter the data, then copy it and paste it over here, right? You can simply do it by using the header data function. And again, if you want the unique values, without any duplicates, so you have to select unique values, right? And all values will display all the values from the source data. I hope you have understood it. So let's move on to our next function, which is dynamic lookup. So we have two sub functions inside it. There is dynamic lookup on the left side and dynamic lookup on the right side. So we'll see each of these functions one by one. So we'll use this data only, but let me delete some of the data because I do not need it. Okay, like this. Okay, let me delete it properly. Okay, now for example, I have this data mentioned over here, right? Okay, let me delete this, right? And let me change the position of the headers like this, right? And I want to have a lookup from this particular table, right? The lookup should be based on the heading. So we'll use dynamic lookup left side. Because why left side? Because the data I need is in my right side and my lookup value is in the left side, right? So to use this, we'll use dynamic lookup left side, and it is asking me select lookup range. Lookup column should be the first column, right? So my lookup column is my first column, so I will select it like this. Okay, I will select it like this. I will click on OK. The next thing it is asking me select source table. So this is my source table. I will click on this. Sorry, I have selected it like this. I click on OK and select destination cell. So it is asking me where I need the output. So I will put it like this and click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see the data is retrieved over here, right? Okay. Now, what will happen if my lookup value is in the right side of the table, right? So in that case, we'll use dynamic lookups right side. Okay, see, select lookup range. Lookup column should be the last column. So yes, it is our last column. I will select my data like this, click on OK and select source table. So this is my source table like this, and select destination cell, and this is my destination cell, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see the data is retrieved over here. Okay, but what if I choose my destination cell to be any other cell than this, right? In that case, we'll see what will happen. So let me again apply this lookup, and I'm selecting the source data, and I am selecting this one, right, states, and I click on OK. So other than this, it will fill this column as well as this column. One thing you have to keep in mind that the heading should be exactly the same with the source data, right? So this is how you can use the dynamic lookup. The next function what I am going to show you right now is the flip and swap function. So flip cells, it's very much self-explanatory. It flip data from top to bottom rows, right? For example, you can see this data. So John is appearing first and Tim is appearing last. So I just want to flip this data. So I will select this data, click on flip cells, and it is asking me select range. So okay, my range is already selected, and I click on OK, and you can see the data is now flipped. Similarly, if you see what is swap ranges, right? Swap range is basically, swap two ranges. For example, over here I have states and over here I have capital, and I want to swap the position of these ranges, right? So I will click on swap ranges. So it is asking me select the first range. So this is my range, and select the second range, and this is my second range. I will click on OK, and you can see the position are swapped now. Make sure that excuse me, you shouldn't have any hidden rows or hidden columns, right, when you are doing this, right? And now we'll move on to our next function, that is split data. But before that, I will show you some other function, right? So the first function that I'm going to show you right now is the operator function. Okay, now to understand this operator function, let me put some numbers over here, right? Let me take some random numbers like -100 to 500, right? Let me paste them as values. Now I want to multiply all of these numbers, right? Let me bold it. Okay, all of these numbers by 2. So what I will do, I will put 2 over here, and you can see this icon which says multiply. I will click on it. So as soon as I click on it, you can see the numbers are multiplied by 2. Now what if I want to divide each of these item by 3? So I'll put 3 over here and click on divide. So it has divided everything by 3. Now if I want to add 100 in each of these item, I will put 100 over here and click on plus, right? So 100 has been added. Now if I want to subtract, like suppose 50 or let's say 20 from each of these item, I will keep this item selected and will select this function, that is subtract. And you can see this is how it calculates each and every cell that is within your range. So this is the operator function for you. Now we'll see another function which is very much useful, that is the match function. So you can see it match similar positive and negative number with FIFO method, right? So what we will do, let's put some random numbers like and between -10 and +10, like this, right? And I have copy and pasted these as values. Okay, so you can see, these are some random numbers, and I want to find out the matching positive and negative numbers. So what I will do, I will select this data, click on match. It asking me select range to match debit and credit. Okay, my range is already selected. I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see whatever is in green color, right, those are the matching positive and negative numbers. Okay, so let me filter this, and you can see the sum is 0 for all the numbers which are highlighted in green color. So this is match function for you. Okay, now we'll move on to our next function, which is compare data. So we'll see what exactly this function does. Okay, so you can see I have two ranges over here, two range of data over here. Now I want to compare both of these ranges for duplicate values, right? I want to check if any values is existing in this table as well as in this table, right? So to do that, I will use this function compare data. So I have highlighted common data, right, which compared two ranges for common values. Okay, so I click on this and it says select the first range. So I will select my first range like this, and it is saying select the second range. So I will select my second range like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see it has highlighted all the cells which are common in both of these ranges, right? So this is compare data function for you. But let me remove the format as of now. Now we have to highlight all the values which are not common in both of these ranges, right? So we will be using highlight uncommon data. The same thing, select the first range, we have to select the first range, and then we have to select the second range like this, and I will click on OK. So whatever is highlighted in red is not common in both of these ranges. So this is compare data function for you, right? So we have already discussed the show data function, right? Now we are left with split data, hidden rows, and duplicate data, right? So what exactly this duplicate data is? Okay, so let me first explain this duplicate data. Let me put something over here. So let me put some month name over here like this, Jan, Feb, and make some duplicates like this, right? March, April, March, Jan, July, right? Now I want to highlight the duplicate values, right? So how this function normally helps me, it highlights each pair of duplicates in different color. For example, if I have Jan over here, here, and here, so for Jan it will give me a distinct color, and for other duplicates it will give me another color, right? So we'll see how it normally works. So I will click on duplicate and I will select my range like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see Jan, because it's a duplicate, it has given a color to Jan, right? That is green. Similarly for Feb, it's a separate color, and similarly for the third duplicate, which is March, it has given as a separate color. So this is how this duplicate function normally works, right? Okay, now we'll see our next function, that is hidden rows. So it basically delete data from your hidden rows. Okay, now let me create another sheet, right, like this, and let me put something over here like column 1, something like that, some headings like this, right? And let me put some number over here. Then okay, now let me put some filters, okay, like this, something like that. Okay, now if you see, some of the rows are hidden now, right? I want to delete those hidden rows. So basically what we normally used to do, we open the filter and then delete those those rows one by one, but we can use it very conveniently by using this function, that is hidden rows. What we need to do, we have to just click on this, and it is asking us to select a range. So we will select this full range along with an extra row like this, right? So you have to select the range from header, right, and a blank row after your data, and you will have to click on OK. So as soon as you click on OK, you can see everything else is deleted now, which are not visible is deleted now. So this is how you can delete your hidden rows. Now we'll move on to our next function, that is how we can split data in different worksheet. Now make sure it work only with pivot tables. So I will show you how to do that. Now let's discuss our next function, that is split data. You can see we have a table over here, right? Now I want to split this data into different worksheet based on the name of each of these person, right? Which means that I should have separate worksheet for Andrew, Jason, and other people as well. So what I need to do, first of all, I will create a pivot. So I will select this data, go on pivot table like this, and I will click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, right, the next thing what I have to do, because I want to filter this data based on person name, I will put person name in filter, right? And then I can create a pivot like this, right? Or you can create a pivot as per your choice, doesn't matter, right? And you have to just close this thing, right? So once you have this pivot, what you need to do next, you have to click on your pivot table, and in pivot table analyze, you can see there is an options, pivot table options. You have to click on show report filter pages, right? So as soon as you click on this, it is asking you show all report filter pages of person name, because person name is in our filter. I will say yes, and I will select this and click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see separate sheets are created for Andrew, Jason, John, Sean and Tim, right? Okay, so this is the first step. The next step, you have to go back to your Excel Tailor tool and click on sheet index. So once you click on sheet index, you will get your sheet index with all these tabs. And now the next thing what you need to do is to click on split data, and it is asking you select range. So you have to select your range like this. You have to select your worksheet name, okay, and you have to click on OK. The next thing it is asking us, press yes for table, press no for range. That means if you want the data to be shown in table format, you have to press it yes. If you want the data to be shown in range format, you will press no. So it's your choice. I will keep it as no as of now. So as soon as I click on this, you can see my data for Andrew is shown over here, for Jason here, John, Sean and Tim. So this is how you can split your data. Now we have covered almost all the functions which are coming inside this filter and functions categories, right? Now we'll move on to our next division, that is we'll discuss formulas, how we can use different formulas in this tool. The first formula that we are going to see today is convert to absolute. Now before I start with the formulas, one thing I would like to say, that you can also insert formula by putting is equal to and et, right? So whatever formula is present, right, or is available with this Excel Tailor tool will be available when you insert is equal to et underscore, right? So these are the list of all formulas that is available over here, right? So there are two ways to insert a formula. You can insert a formula like this, or you can insert a formula from here as well, right? So okay, so the first thing that we are going to see right now is convert to absolute and convert to relative. So basically these are not formulas, these basically are functions which change your formula reference to either absolute or relative. For example, let me put some numbers over here, like 1, 2, something like this, right? And let me put some number over here as well. Okay, like this. Now I want to put a formula, right, which says sum these numbers, right? Okay, now if you look at this formula carefully, so this is a relative formula, right? This is not a absolute formula because the dollar signs are missing in this formula. But suppose I want to insert the dollar sign inside this formula, what I need to do, I just need to select this cell, click on formulas and click on convert to absolute, right? It is asking me select cell with formula, so I have already selected it and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you can see, right, the dollars are inserted inside this formula, and this has make this formula absolute. Okay, now if I want to convert it to relative, what I need to do, same thing, I will click on formulas and click on convert to relative. Now select cells with formula, so I have selected my cells with formula and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see my formula is reconvert to relative formula, right? So this is how you can use this formula, and it helps you, if you want to manually insert dollars, or if you want to manually remove dollars from a formula, you can use these two functions. Now the next function that I am going to show you right now is the get range function. For example, I want to get the range of this particular range, right? So this is starting from G3, right, and it is ending at H12. Okay, so my range will be G3 to H12. Now how will I get that? It is very simple. What you need to do, you just either you can put a formula like get range, okay, and you press Ctrl Shift and A, so it will give you the parameters or the component that you have to insert inside this formula, that is select range. So you can select your range like this, right? And then it is sheet name. So sheet name is optional. You can, if you want to put sheet name, you can put sheet name. If you don't want to put sheet name, don't put that sheet name, right? So however, if you are working in an active sheet, in this current sheet, you don't need to put a sheet name. But if you want to get range of a different sheet, in that case you have to put the sheet name, right? So let me delete it and press enter. So you can see I have got my range, that is starting from G3 and going to H12. So what's the use of this formula? Why we need a formula which gives us the range? Because it will help if your data is dynamic in nature. For example, if I put something over here like this, right? So you can see the formula is automatically picking up the last row in this particular range, right? G3 to H13, right? Now just imagine I have to get some of these numbers. What I need to do, I will put is equal to sum indirect, right? And I will choose this like this and like this, and I press enter. So right now you can see the sum is like 331. So if I put anything over here like this, so you don't need to change the formula every time, right? It will automatically take this number which is inside it range. Okay, now another thing I would like to tell you, that when you are using this formula basically consider the last row of the entire sheet and not the last row of this particular column, right? So for that we have a different function. For example, if I put something over here 4 5 8 9 something like this, so you can see the formula is taking H19, but if you see we do not have anything in H19, right? But why it is still taking H19? Because H is the column that we have selected, right? If you see H, and 19 is the last row of this entire sheet. So this is how this formula normally works. So let me delete this. Okay, you can also get this formula from here. What you need to do, click on formulas, click on get range, and you have to select range. So by selecting range, what I mean to say, you can either select the full range or you can only select the header. I will suggest you that you select the headers only, and you have to click on OK. So as soon as you click on OK, you can see this formula is automatically inserted, right, with your sheet name. So it is G3 to H16, right? Suppose I want to get range from this particular sheet. Okay, so let me put some number like this, and I want to get the range of from this sheet. What I need to do, I will simply go to formulas, click on get range, and it is asking me select range. So I will select my range like this, only the header row, right? And I click on OK. So you can see it has given me the range F3 is to J15. So just in case I put something over here like this, it is F3 is to F3 is to J18, right? It is correct. 18. So 18th is the J18 is the last last cell or in this particular range. So this is how you can use this formula, and this formula is very helpful when you are dealing with multiple sheets and when your data is dynamic. Okay, so let me delete this. Now we'll move on to our next formula, that is get last row. Okay, get last row has two components, with blanks and without blanks. It is very much similar to our get range function only. However, as I have already told you, that get range function identify the last row of the entire sheet. However, this function will identify the last row of a single column. So first I will see with blanks, right? So it is asking me select cell. So I will select this cell and I click on OK. So you can see it has given me the range of this particular column, which is starting from H3, right? Because H3 is something that I have selected on my own, right? And the last cell is H16, right? Because this is the last cell of this particular column. So if I put something over here, my formula is dynamically changing. Okay, so this is how this get last row function work. Now if you see, there are some blanks, right? If I want my data to be continuous, that means I do not want the formula to consider anything after the blank. So in that case I will use this formula, get last row without blanks, right? And I will click on the header, just header, and I click on OK. So you can see it has given me H3 to H13, right? Only till here, because it doesn't consider anything after the blanks. So where exactly it is useful? For example, you are putting a sum over here, right? And you do not want to take the range of this particular sum. In that case, we'll use this formula, right? So it is taking value from H3 to H13, right? And it is not taking anything which is after that. However, in this particular formula, it is considering cells, right, even after blank cell. Okay, so this is how this formula normally works. Okay, now let me put something over here like this, and now we'll see the other function, that is get last column. Again, I mean, this is very much similar. Similar formula like get range and get last row. It will give you the last column. So first we'll see with blanks. So here again we have to select cell. So let me select this cell and I click on OK. So you can see it has given me the range G3 to J3, because G3 is the first cell in this range and J3 is the last cell in this range. So it consider columns, right? And it consider blanks as well. Similarly, if I don't want to consider any blank, what I need to do, I will go to get last column without blanks and I will select the first cell and I click on OK. Now you can see it has given me G3 to H3, only these two cells. So this is how this formula normally works. Okay, I hope you are understanding this. I have created a detailed video on these formulas, so I will put that on description as well, just in case if you want to know more about these formulas. And other than that, I have also put some Excel challenges where I have extensively shown how you can use these formulas for different type of Excel related work. So let me delete this. Okay, now let's move on to our next function, which says count by color, normal formatting, conditional formatting. Okay, first we'll say normal formatting. Okay, so let me put some colors over here like this, and this, right? Let me color them yellow, and let me put some other colors like, okay, let me put them green. Now I want to copy both of these colors and paste it over here, right? And I want to get the count of each of these colors, right? How many cells in this particular range with with green color and how many cells in yellow color. So what I will do, I will go to formulas, click on count by colors, because this is a normal formatting, right? I will select this and it is asking me select range. So I will select my range like this and I will select my color like this and I click on OK. So it is saying me, sorry, it has given me the data 4 because I have 4 green cells, right? Now I can copy and paste it over here as well, right? So okay, this has been dynamic, so let me put it over here, and it is 5. That means that for yellow there are 5 count. Similarly, you can get the sum of these numbers as well. What you need to do, go to formulas, click on sum by color, normal formatting, right? We'll select our range like this, right? We'll select the color like this and click on OK. So for green it is 62. Okay, let me see if it is 62 or not. So you can see, yes, it is 62. 2 only. Okay, and for yellow, what we will do, we'll just drag this formula, click on it and change the references over here, and for yellow it is 79, right? And yes, if you see, it is 79. Okay, let me copy and paste it over here. So this is how you can use this formula. Now let me remove this formatting. Okay, let me delete this. Now just imagine it if it has a conditional formatting over here, right? Let me put some conditional formatting. Let me put a number over here, and let me delete this, right, for some time. And let me put a conditional formatting. So I will go to home, put a conditional format, highlight cell rules. Let me, okay, not like this, let me put a 2-digit number, something like that, right? And now let me put a conditional formatting, or between, something like that. Okay, now I want to get the count of all these cells which have a conditional formatting inside it, right? So if I am going to use this particular formula, right, count by color normal formatting, it will not work. Okay, so I have to use the formula conditional formatting, right? So what I need to do, I will just click on it, and it is asking me select range. So I will select this range and click on OK, and it is asking me select color. So I cannot select this color just by clicking on any cell. What I need to do, I will select any of this cell which has this color, and I click on OK. So it is giving me 7. So the count is 7. Similarly, you can get the this thing, I mean the sum as well. What you need to do, just sum by color, conditional formatting. You have to select the range and click on this, and you will get the result like 236, right? For example, if I change it like this, 456, something like that, or 78, right? Okay, so we are not getting this thing. Okay, let me put something like 40 or 42, right? So you can see the conditional formatting has changed, and it has given me the count is changed to 8, and the sum is changed to 278. Let me change it for one more. Okay, let me put it 7. So you can see it is dynamically getting changed. Similarly, let me put something again like 52, right? And here we go. So this is how this function normally work. Okay, now we'll see our next function, that is count by color, sum by color is done, that is multiple matches lookup. So get result in column and get result in rows. Okay, so let me show you how it normally works. Okay, for example, let me put some month name Jan like this, and let me copy and repaste it, right, like this. And let me put some random numbers over here, right? Some numbers 10 to 100, some random, we will put some random numbers, and I'm pasting it over here. Now I want to do a lookup, and I want to get all the numbers for Jan displayed over here, for Feb over here, and so on for March and April. So what I will do, because VLOOKUP has a limitation, it doesn't give you multiple matches. What you need to do, just go to formulas, click on multiple matches lookup, and because I need it in columns, different columns, I will use this function, right? So get result in column. So the first thing it is asking me, select lookup value. So I will select my first lookup value like this, M6, right? And I click on OK, right? It is asking me select lookup array, right? Where this lookup value is available in this particular table. So I will select it like this, right? And select return array. What I want to return, these values. It is just as same as XLOOKUP, and I click on OK, and you can see it has given me the result 86, right? 13 for Jan and 48, right? Now I can very much I can drag this formula. What I need to do, right? Okay, what I need to do, because this has been fixed, right? I can remove this, especially I can remove this dollar, from the row part, and now I can drag it. So you can see it is giving me the result, right? For April it is 85, 51 and 25. So this is how it normally works. Now if I want this in rows, what I need to do, the same thing. What I will do, I will go to formulas, I will click on multiple matches lookup, get result in rows. It is asking me select lookup value. I will select my lookup value like this, click on OK, select lookup array, my lookup array like this, select return array like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see it has provided me the result in rows. Now what I will do, I will just remove the dollar sign from the column, and I will just drag it over here. So if you see, our data is exactly matching. Over here April data is 85, 51, 25, and over here it is 85, 51 and 25, right? So this is how you need to, you can apply this multiple matches lookup for, right? So let's move on to our next function, that is saying join data by column. Okay, now I want to join both of these data, right, by columns. That means that first of all it will give you this data, then it will join this, then it will join this, this and this. So what we will do, we'll go to formulas and click on join data by column. So it is asking us select range, so we can select our range like this, right? And you can see it has joined it like January 86, then February 85, then March 75, something like this. Okay, and now we'll see how it can join data by rows. So if I put it join data by rows, then it will join it like this. Okay, first it will say January, February, March, April. Okay, and the second thing is that it doesn't give any duplicates. That's why you will see that only January, February, March and April are provided, and these values are not getting repeated. Okay, so this is how this formula normally works. Suppose I have another range like this in this particular sheet, October, November, let's put some number 58, 45, and in this sheet as well, right, December like 77. I want to join all of these number, right? Okay, let me delete this. So what I will do, I will go to formulas, right, and click on join data by column, and it is asking me select range. So I will select my range like this. Okay, and I click on OK. So when I click on OK, you can see it has joined this range. However, I want to join these range as well. What I need to do, I will just double click on it, put a comma, and then I can select this, right? I put another comma, and then I can select this as well. So you can see how it has joined the data, right? Similarly, you can join it by rows as well. What I need to do, just change the formula to rows and press enter. Now you can see January, February, March, April, and then it is followed by 86, 85, 75 like this. Why 85 is not getting repeated? Because it gives you only the unique data, it will not give you the duplicate data. So this is how you can use these functions. So these are very helpful, and we will see this in our later videos, how we are using this function or formula to solve a lot of other problems. Okay, cool. So now, so far we have discussed join data by column and join data by rows as well. Now we'll see extract number, extract text, and remove characters. Okay, so let me put some text over here, 1 2 3 SDFG, right? And I want to okay, let me put some characters as well, like this, this, right? Okay. Now sometimes you get some data in this particular format. I want to extract the number out of this format. Okay, let me put another number in between, something like 89, and let me put some text over here. Okay, and let me make it more difficult, like this. Okay, now I want to extract the number from this particular cell. What I need to do, I will select the cell, I'll click on formulas, I will click on extract number. It is asking me select cell, so I will select my cell like this, and you can see it has extract me the number. Similarly, if I want to extract the text out of it, what I need to do, I will go to formulas and click on extract text, and I will select this and click on OK. So you can see it has extract the text. Now I want to extract both number and text, but I do not want these special characters, right? I want to get the data without these special characters. So what I need to do, I will go to formula and click on remove characters, and it is asking me select cell. I will select my cell and I will click on this. Okay, so I think we have to put equal to, and here you go, and you can see that it has removed all the characters, right, from this particular text. So this is how you can use this particular formula. The next formula in our list is multiple substitute. Okay, multiple substitute. Okay, for example, I have this data. Oh, just okay, let's consider this data only, right? And I want to substitute all the percentage with the letter A, right? And I want to substitute all the asterisks with letter B, right? So what I need to do over here is, I will go to formula, click on multiple substitute. It is asking me select cell, so I will select my cell like this, and select from char range. So we have to select this thing, right, because I want to substitute it, and select to char range. I will select it like this, and I click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see every percentage, right, and this particular text is changed to A, and every character is changed to B. So this is how you can use this function, that is et underscore substitute. Okay, now the next is multiple replace. Similar to this, if you want to have if you want to replace multiple words from a sentence, we can use this function which says multiple replace. For example, let me put a sentence like Excel is a good application, right? Now I want to change this sentence, right? So in place of Excel, I want to put MX Excel, and in place of application, I want to put app, right? So what I need to do, I will just select a cell, click on formulas, click on multiple replace, and select cell. I will select my cell where I have this thing, then select from text range, so I will select it like this, and to text range I will select it like this, and click on OK. So you can see MS Excel is a good app. So it has been completely replaced by this particular sentence. Okay, so this is how multiple replace normally work. Okay, now we'll see our next function, that is get common cells. Okay, let me create a new sheet like this. So we'll put some month name over here like this. Okay, let us try it like this. Let me put only these numbers, and let me copy some of the data, paste it over here, and now I can put like July, August, and let me copy something like this. Right now I mean, in both of these data, I want to extract the common values. So what I will do, I will go to my formulas and click on get common cells, right? It is asking me to select the first range. I will select my first range, click on OK, and I will select my second range like this. So you can see Jan, March, April, June, and November are common in both of these data, right? Similarly, if I want to, extract the data which is not present in, both of these, or which is either present in this range or in this range, so to do that I will use this formula which says get uncommon cell. So I will select my first range and I will select my second range like this. So you can see Feb, May, September, October, December, July and August are present either in this range or in this range. However, this data is this formula is giving us the result for all those cells which are in both of these range, right? So let me insert another column over here and let me put some more data like this and paste it over here. Okay, now I mean, if you want, you can add ranges in this as well, right? So I am adding my third range like this and click on OK. Now it is only giving you Jan. Now why Jan? Right? Because now it is comparing three ranges, right? Something which is available in all of these ranges. So if you see, August is not available over here, right? August is available over here and here. However, if you see Jan, it is available in all the three ranges. That is why it is giving you the result Jan, right? Similarly, you can use it for uncommon data as well. Okay, now we'll move on to our next function, that is text reverse. I mean, it's very simple, right? For example, I put like Excel Tailor. I want to reverse this. What I will do, I will go to formulas, right? And where exactly it is, click on text reverse, and it is asking us select cell. I will select my cell like this and click on this, and it has just reversed my text. Okay, so this is how text reverse function normally work. Now it is get sheet names. Okay, as I do not have any sheets over here, let me go back to my old sheet, right? Okay, so we have a lot of sheets over here. So what this sheet name function normally does, okay, let me take a new sheet. I will go to formula and click on get sheet name. So as soon as I click on sheet name, it will give you the sheet names of all these existing tabs. It is very much similar to our sheet index. However, sheet index normally create a different sheet and give you the hyperlinks. However, this doesn't give that. Okay, so this is the sheet index, get sheet name function for you. And now we'll see get file names. Okay, so let me click on this. Okay, we have to give a folder location. Understood. So what you need to do, first of all, if you want to get all the files that are present in a particular folder, I mean, this formula will helps you extracting the file names. So what you need to do, first of all, you have to select a cell, go to get location, select a folder location, right? So let me select a folder like this, right? And I click on okay. I don't know whether I have any file over here or not. So let me select this particular folder and click on OK, right? Now I have the location of this particular folder. What I need to do, I will go to formulas and click on get file names. So it is asking me select folder location. So I will select my folder location like this and I click on OK. So it is telling me that in this particular folder we have one file with name 01.xlsx. So if I open this location, right, we can see that we have a file with 01_jan.xlsx, right? Just in case if I add another sheet, right, in this particular location, okay, let me copy and paste it over here, right? And I go back to this Excel sheet, right, over here, and I double click on it and press enter, right? The formula will get updated and it will extract the new Excel sheet as well. Okay, now what if I create a text document like this? Okay, I go back to this sheet, double click on this and press enter. You can see it is extracting the new text document name as well. Now, what if I only want to extract the text document and not all the documents? What I need to do, I will just double click on this, put a comma and put txt or .txt, right? And I will press enter. Now you can see it is only extracting the text documents which are available in this particular folder, right? Similarly, if I go ahead and change this to XLSX, right, it will give me the data for Excel, right? Now if I want to, I can also put it like this. I want to extract all the folder, all the file with name Jan inside it. So you can see it is extracting two Excel sheet which have the name Jan, right? For example, if I change one to Feb, right? Like this. Now I go back, I double click on it and press enter. So it is only retrieving one sheet that is present with the name Jan inside it. So this is how this function normally work, right? And we have seen in past, I mean in our other videos, how we have used this function to rename multiple files and multiple folders, right? Now let's move on to our next function, which says get file names with directory. Okay, right now you can see that these files names are, I mean, these are just file names, right? These are not, not coming with the directory, right? So if I click on get file names in directory and I have to, select the folder name and I click on OK. So, okay, I have to put an equal to over here. So you will see right now, it is also giving us the full location of these files which are available in this particular folder. Okay, so this is how this function normally works. Now let's move on to our next function, which says get workbook tabs. Okay, so this function normally gives you, workbook tabs of a closed workbook, right? So if I click on here and it is asking me select cell with workbook reference, right? I want to select this cell and I click on OK, right? So it is taking some time. Let's wait. And it has given me January. So what does this mean? So if I go back to this folder, right, and I open this February, because this is what we have chosen, you can see there's a tab name with January. So if I, create some more tab like Feb or March, right, and save it and close it, right, and I double click on it and press enter, right, I don't know what it happened or not, right? So right now it has extracted the tab names of each of the sheet that is available with this particular workbook. So it extracts sheet names from a closed workbook. So this is how this function normally work. Okay, we'll see how we can use this function with different, different power query uh, when we are going to create some queries inside power query, right? In our future videos we'll see how we can use this function more often, right? The next function is indirect format. Okay, now this is a complicated function. uh, for example, I mean, let's take the same data like this. Okay, let me put some number over here, rand between 10, 20, and let's put, I don't know. Okay, let me save, paste this as values. Right, let me delete some of the functions from this, otherwise it is making my file heavy. So let me delete this. Right. Okay. Now I will show you what exactly this function normally does. Right. For example, I want to get sum of all these numbers. Okay. So the first thing that I need to do is to go to formulas, click on get range, and I will select this and I click on OK. So I have got this range. Right. Now to get the sum of all these numbers, what I need to do, I will just need to put sum, then indirect, and then followed by this. Right. And I will close this and press enter. So you can see I've got the sum of all these numbers. So if I put something over here, right, it will get automatically updated. Now if I want to get this result in a different sheet, what I need to do, first of all, let me create a sheet over here. Right, there are two things that I have to mention over here. First of all, the sheet name. Right, so I will put the sheet name like this, sheet 3, and the second thing, I have to copy and paste this, right, as a value over here, or it's better that I will use the get range function. Right, so I will go to the formula, click on get range. Right, I will select my range like this and click on OK. So now we have two things, we have the sheet name and we have the range for this particular sheet. Right, let me delete this, I do not need this. Right, and now I want to get sum of these numbers, right, in a different sheet. So in this case I will use the formula indirect format. So I click on indirect format, it is asking me select cell with sheet name, so I will select my cell with sheet name, I will click on OK. Select cell with cell reference in text, so I will click on this and click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, you can see all these numbers are retrieved over here. Right, so if I put something like this, it will automatically get updated in this particular sheet. Right, and now what I need to do, I just need to put a sum like this, and I will close my bracket like this and press enter, and that is how you will get your sum in a different sheet. Right, so this is how this function normally works. And the last function that I'm going to show you is to convert to hyperlink. Suppose I want to create a hyperlink of this particular range. What I need to do, I will just click on this, go to formula, click on convert to hyperlink. It is asking me select cell with sheet name. I will select my cell with sheet name, I will click on OK. Right, so it is asking me select cell with cell reference in text. So it is an optional. Right, I mean, if I want to have some, if I want to put the reference, I will put the reference like this and I click on OK. Right, so you can see a hyperlink has been created. Now whenever I will be going to click on this hyperlink, it will take me directly to that particular range. Right, again let me show you once more. So I click on it and it is taking me directly to that particular range. Okay, but just in case you do not want to select any range, you just want to create a hyperlink of this particular sheet name, what you need to do, just go to formulas, select cell with sheet name. So we have already selected our cell with sheet name, click on OK and just click on cancel. Just click on cancel and you will get the sheet name like this. Right, and you will get this change to hyperlink. So when you click on this, right, you will go directly inside that particular sheet. So we have briefly explained each of these formulas that is available with our Excel Tailor ribbon. Right, now we'll go on to our next section, that is the protection function. Right, so it is pretty much self-explanatory. For example, I want to lock selected range. Right, it normally protects your data. So if I want to lock selected range, what I need to do, for example, I just want to lock this particular range, I will select this range, click on protection, click on lock selected range. Right, it is asking me select range, we have already selected, click on OK. So as soon as I click on OK, it gives us a message box that do you want a password, yes or no. So I mean, it's your will. If you want to give a password, let me put a password like this, and let me put a password like ABC as of now, and click on OK, and that's it. Now this cell is locked, you cannot change it. Right, even if you want to change it, right? How to unlock this? Very simple. What you need to do, go to unprotect sheet, just click on it, and it is asking you the password, right? And you have to click on OK. Now you can edit it like this, right? Pretty much self-explanatory. Now this is lock sheet excluding range. Suppose I don't want to lock this range, and I want to lock the entire sheet excluding this range. So what I will do, I will select this range, go to production, click over here, right? It is asking me lock select range, so I have already selected my range. Click on OK. Do you want a password? Let's keep it no as of now, and that's it. So now if I want to change anything over here or here, it will not allow me to do so. However, I can change anything to this particular range. Okay, now how to unprotect it? Same way, just click on unprotect sheet, and it has been unprotected because we have not inserted any password, so the password prompt is not been shown to us, right? Now what is the next function? Lock all formulas. Okay, suppose we have a formula over here. Let me delete this. Let put some formulas, like let me select it and click and apply a formula like auto sum. Okay, now we have some formulas. I want to lock all these formulas. So what I need to do, just click on protection and click on lock all formulas. So it is asking me, do you want a password? The same thing, I will keep it as no, and my formulas are locked now. You cannot change these formulas. However, you can change this range, right? But you cannot change these formulas. Okay, even if you try to do so. Okay, how to unprotect it? Very simple. Click on unprotect sheet, and that's it. Now you can change these formulas. Okay, like you can put any values like this. Okay, okay. The next function is hide all formulas. Suppose I want to hide these formulas. I don't want someone to see what formulas I have put over here. So what I can do, right? I can select any cell in this entire sheet, and click on hide formulas. Do you want a password? I will keep it as no, and my formulas are hidden now. You will not be able to see my formulas. Let me unprotect it. Okay, again, this is very much similar. Lock selected range and all formulas. Suppose I want a combination of lock selected range and and all formulas, so I can use this particular option, lock selected range and hide all formulas. If I want to lock a particular range and I want to hide all formulas, then I will use this option. And the last option is lock sheet excluding range and hide all formulas. Pretty much self-explanatory. Now I will explain you the last two function which is available, that is encrypt Excel files. Okay, suppose let's go back to this particular folder. I want to encrypt both of these files so that nobody can open this file, right? I want to encrypt them with a particular password. What I need to do, I will go to protection and click on encrypt Excel file. So it is asking me select range containing file paths. Okay, so let me exit this macro. So in this case, first of all, we need to have that particular range. What we will do, we'll use our formulas, right? We will first click on get location. We'll click on get folder location, and I will select my folder like this. Okay, so this is the first thing. Now I will use the formula which says get file names with directory. So I will use it like this. Okay, let me put an equal to like this, right? Now I want to encrypt both of these Excel sheet. So this encryption only works with Excel sheet and not with the text document. So let me copy and paste it as values first. So I will copy formula values from selection, right? Let me delete this. Now I want to encrypt both of these Excel sheet with a password. I will go to protection. I will go to encrypt Excel file. It is asking me select range containing file path. I will select both of these and click on OK. Enter desired password for encryption. Let me put it as ABC as of now, and I click on OK, right? And that's it. Encryption completed, right? Now let me go back to this folder. I want to open this file, right? I will not be able to do so because it is saying that this file is protected. You have to enter a password. So if I put a password, it will open, otherwise it will not open, right? Now how to decrypt this? The same thing, we have to click on decrypt Excel file. It asks me select range containing file path, so we'll select these two and click on OK. Again we have to put the password, right? Decryption completed. Now we can open both of these files, right? The encryption is removed, right? And you can use this functionality to protect multiple Excel files quite easily. So this is all from my end, right? So you can download this Excel Tailor ribbon tool from the link that is provided in the description box. Just keep one thing in mind, that all of these functions may not be accessible in the demo version, right? So you have to take a full version to get all these functions, right? So we have full versions available based on yearly subscription, right, as well as with a 3-year subscription. So just in case you have any queries, you can write down to us. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Thanks.